Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
And this parliament has the authority to recommend severe punishments. We can recommend prosecutions, and we can ask the Auditor General to take certain actions against those who are found culpable. So, Speaker, let me join colleagues to thank the Minister of Finance for making this statement and briefing the House on the outcome of the special audit that was conducted into arrears and payables. So, Speaker, it is part of our record that the Minister last year did indicate that he was holding on to paying some claims because he wanted to conduct a special forensic audit to validate the payments. Indeed, in this chamber, on several occasions, the minority leader had occasion to demand that contractors be paid, and the finance minister responded that he was holding on to the payment because he wanted to verify. So, Mr. Speaker, after the verification, the minister also to this House to come and report to us the outcome of the verification. But more importantly, this is not a verification done by the minister himself or the ministry. It is an exercise undertaken by the Auditor General, supported by consultants that they engaged. And we all know that by law, the Auditor General can engage private consultants to assist in carrying out audit exercises. And Mr. Speaker, when the Auditor General audits state institutions, agencies, public corporations, the normal thing to do is to present the audit to Parliament. The reason is that we as parliamentarians, we superintend over all these agencies. We budget for the agencies, and so we should be interested in knowing how they utilize their finances. And we represent the people whose lives can be made better if the funds are used judiciously. I hear the minority leader saying that special provision should be made for the speaker so that the speaker can manage his constituency better. What do you use to make the special provision? Resources. So if the speaker authorizes resources to agencies and they are wasteful in the use of the resources, with what is the finance minister going to make special provision for every single member of parliament here to fix the roads in their constituencies, fix the electricity in their constituencies, fix the broken water systems in their constituencies, and deal with the broken schools in their constituencies? Resources. So we must be interested in how the resources are used. And when this government decides that we are going to pay special attention to this, it is not political witch hunting. And I regret that throughout this comment, I've heard colleagues try to create the impression that politicians are not responsible and that it is the technocrats, the bureaucrats. That's not true. Politicians are ultimately responsible. You are ultimately responsible. You are responsible for your ministry. You are responsible for your agency. If there is corruption, if there is waste, it is your responsibility to make sure that those who are engaged in that are held to account. Because we sit here as parliamentarians and pass the laws, we sit here and approve the budgets, and we are the ones that the Auditor General reports to, so that when there is malfeasance, it is our responsibility to ensure that is corrected, that people are punished. So, Mr. Speaker, this report that has been presented to us is a very serious indictment of events that occurred in the past 4 years. Very serious indictment. I was in this chamber when the Minister for Agriculture came here and told us that there was a dry spell in the north of Ghana and that we needed to buy food. They needed to buy food. The budget was humongous. The budget was humongous. And we gradually approved it. Because we were very sure that there was no way that these food items will arrive at a time when the communities will need it. So we approved the amount. Today we are told that some contractors who took the contracts for 35,000 metric tons, ended up supplying barely 10,000 metric tons. And they were paid. Mr. Speaker, the point I'm making is this, that we in this House cannot gloss over those matters. If there's an audit report that indicts anybody, without fear or favor, let's hold that person to account. This president, under John Dramani Mahama, is determined to root out corruption. Whether it is corruption by the public servants, by the bureaucrats, by the civil servants, or even by politicians, let us deal with it decisively. I agree with you that we have heard this so many times. This is why this should be the last time we are hearing it. And it will be the last time that we are hearing it, because we will set up a special committee. And that committee will look into everything that has been reported on by the Auditor General. We will invite all the parties who are involved. We will verify everything that the Auditor General has discovered. And we will make sure, this Parliament will make sure, that everybody who is indicted in this audit report is held accountable. That has to happen. I don't understand how you can be defensive of a report like this. Indeed, it should excite your curiosity. You should want to know more. You should want us to go into it and to establish indeed that this happened, and it happened in the Republic of Ghana, so that we can fix it and let this Parliament go down in history as the Parliament that stood firmly and fixed the rot in the system. We must encourage the Minister for Finance. We should not politic it. How can you get up and say that this report is being presented because we have a problem with cocoa pricing in the country? How could you ever say that? How could you ever say that? A report that was mentioned in 2025 by the Minister of Finance that he was undertaking, and the report is ready and he's presenting it, and you say that it is because of cocoa prices? And is the cocoa prices a problem of only Ghana? We asked you to go next door to Ivory Coast. We asked you to go next door to Ivory Coast so that you will find out if the cocoa crisis is only in Ghana. It's a global affair. Prices have slumped. And therefore, countries must adjust to their promises. Go all over the world and check the prices. This report could not have been presented to divert attention from cocoa farmers' issues. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, the incapacity of the economy to support cocoa farmers is because of the massive looting that occurred. Because of the massive looting that occurred. According to the auditor's report. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
according to this report,
billions of Ghana cedis, billions of Ghana cedis cannot be accounted for. How much do we need to pay the cocoa farmers? How much do we need to pay the cocoa farmers? In the face of billions of Ghana cedis, that cannot be accounted for. Mr. Speaker, indeed, looking into how our monies were squandered is a responsibility that we owe to the cocoa farmer. Because that money came from the sweat of cocoa farmers. That money came from the sweat of cocoa farmers. And so when they sweat, and then we sell the cocoa, and we receive the proceeds, and we squander it in these wasteful manners, we do a great disservice to the cocoa farmers. And so anybody who pretends to be concerned about cocoa farmers must be concerned about how the money is used. How the money is used. So, Mr. Speaker, I will support the call on this Parliament to set up a special committee pursuant to Order 262 of our standing orders. Mr. Speaker, I can understand why you are protesting that a special committee should not be set up, that it should be referred to the Public Accounts Committee. Mr. Speaker, we will not accept that because your side chairs the Public Accounts Committee. We will not accept that. We will not accept that. It's a special audit. The normal audit reports come and they are referred to the Public Accounts Committee. And so when there is a special audit and a report presented to this House reserves the right to set up a special committee to look into it and to report back to us. How can we set up a committee? How can we refer this matter to a committee chaired by the NPP? When everything that is spoken about here in this report occurred during the tenure of the NPP. How can we credibly refer this matter to a committee chaired by the NPP in this House? Mr. Speaker, it will not be credible. Mr. Speaker, we are looking into matters bordering on the activities of the Ministry of Finance under the NPP. And the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee was the Minister of State in charge of Ministry of Finance. She was the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance. And so many of these things occurred during her tenure as a minister. I'm not saying she's responsible, but it occurred during her tenure as a minister. How can you refer the investigation of such a matter to the same person? Mr. Speaker, this will not wash. The public will not even take us serious if they see the current chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee sitting to look into matters that she superintended over. So, Mr. Speaker, there is a very good case for setting up a special committee to look into this audit report and to probe further, invite the parties, verify the things that we see. And this Parliament has the authority to recommend severe punishments. We can recommend prosecutions, and we can ask the Auditor General to take certain actions against those who are found culpable. Mr. Speaker, unless we begin to take these kind of situations serious, we will drive our country down the ditch. You can work hard, but if you don't punish for wrongdoing, those who will take over from you will not feel a responsibility to also be accountable. When we take on what happened yesterday, we are guarding against it happening again today. Why? We are in government. We're in government. The resources of the state are in our hands now. We control the institutions. Why don't we just keep quiet and exploit the same loopholes and dysfunctional systems and also enrich ourselves? Why don't we do that? Why? Why don't we do that? So, Mr. Speaker, the reason why we will not do that is because we have a country to fix. If we don't take on those who conducted themselves so abysmally yesterday in the management of the public finances, we will lose the moral authority to take on those who are in charge today. And if those who are in charge today are holding wide open the books so that we can all learn the wrongs in the society,
Minority Leader, you have your right.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm not making further comment, but the Majority Leader has introduced a very strange matter that if I don't comment on, Mr. Speaker, a certain precedent will be introduced, Mr. Speaker, that will not inure
Honorable Minority Leader, the chair is capable of dealing with the matter.
Mr. Speaker, I rest my case therefore.
Thank you. Honorable members, this is a statement made by the Deputy Finance Minister under Standing Order 91.
It requires discipline and accountability at every echelon of institutional activities. Mr. Speaker, the late Dr. Kofi Annan proudly observed that knowledge is power, information is liberating, education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family. This timeless wisdom reminds us of a critical balance. The digital flow of information empowers our institutions and our citizens, but it must be managed with utmost responsibility. We must ensure its power serves the public good rather than undermining our national security and compromising individual privacy. Right Honorable Speaker, Parliament handles vast quantities of highly sensitive information daily. We process restricted administrative records, citizen petitions, confidential committee documents, and witness testimonies. The very nature of our work demands the highest echelon of data privacy protection. It is incumbent upon us to guarantee our data architecture are fortified. We must protect them against unauthorized access, misuse, or catastrophic loss. Strengthening our internal system is essential in legal compliance. More importantly, it is vital for preserving unwavering public confidence in the integrity of this House. Mr. Speaker, in October 2025, the Select Committee on Information and Communication conducted a comprehensive working visit to the Public Data Protection Commission. The committee was thoroughly briefed on the Commission's achievements, its ongoing project, and its present operational challenges. We witnessed firsthand the hurdle they face in policing our data economy. Mr. Speaker, the Commission is rapidly scaling up punitive measures against non-compliance under their law, Section 56. These include severe fines and potential imprisonment. Mr. Speaker, I conclude with a charge calling on all honorable members and staff of Parliament to actively engage in the activities planned for the critical initiative. Integrate core data protection principles into our daily workforce. Let us unequivocally demand that the Parliament of Ghana lead, for example, we must safeguard the personal information of our constituents. We must uphold the highest standards of confidentiality, integrity, responsibility in all that we do. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable Patrick Yaubwama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make some few comments on the statement ably made by my colleague from Bunkrugu. Mr. Speaker, Act 843 was passed in 2012, and I think it's about time that with the developments in the world and the coming into force of social media, which has taken over the traditional media space, ought to undergo some reforms and to bring the art in conformity with the global trend. Mr. Speaker, data has been collected from us by the National Health Insurance Authority, the Driver's Licensing Authority, National Identification Authority, the National Communications Authority, Birth and Death Registry, and other agencies of state, Mr. Speaker. Data, we say, is gold. And if you read Section 96 of the Act, the definition of data has been expanded. And with your kind permission, I'll just read a couple for you to appreciate what we are talking about, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, data means information under Section 96, the interpretation section, means information which A, is processed by means of equipment operating automatically in response to instructions given for that purpose. B, is recorded with the intention that it should be processed by means of such equipment, and so on and so forth. Mr. Speaker, there are sanctions regimes attached to the Act, which also enjoins the Minister of Communication to come to the House with some regulations to see to the implementation of this Act. Mr. Speaker, anyone who violates the use of someone's data or without going through the right processes is required to pay about 60,000 Ghana cedis or face a sentence of no less than 10 years or both. Mr. Speaker, there are legislations and laws that governs data protection. But in our country, you realize that people just abuse people's data, use them anyhow without any sanctions or enforcement. And that requires the law enforcement agents to be trained professionally, because you have data of kids, members of parliament, chiefs, and very prominent people and other members of society being used and abused for financial purposes without recourse to the Enabling Act. And it's a call in the right direction by the maker of the statement for us to appreciate the need for data protection and also enforce the cybersecurity laws of this country to protect our image and our kids going forward. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable Professor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm enjoying leadership here, Mr. Speaker. Available leader. Let me commend the maker of the statement for bringing to fore a very important subject matter, which has to do with data protection, Mr. Speaker. We all know that data is a very critical need that we would need for the development of our countries. It is important for planning, it is important for economic development, it is important for growth. So it becomes very important that we cannot do without data, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the technology today has made data to be very vulnerable to distraction. A lot of people now can infiltrate, because of technology, into people's data. And so you and I, Mr. Speaker, remain naked because of the technology you have today. And if we don't take steps to ensure that we protect data, no one is safe. If you watch the war that is happening in the Middle East, you would see that it is because of the data countries have of other countries. That is why they are able to target them, set and target 2,000 miles away. You sit in your room, somebody can target because of your data. The fellow has been able to infiltrate and track you. So it is important that we pay attention to that of the data, Mr. Speaker. In this country, a lot of people don't have understanding of how it works. And so for that matter, you see people just giving themselves out and making it difficult, making it easier for people to go through their data. And so in recent times, you'd find people just going about, you find people, their very bad side of their bodies being leaked in the social media. It's because of the fact that they don't understand how it works, Mr. Speaker. So I think that we need to do a lot of sensitization. Days like this, it is important we take advantage and sensitize people to understand how data works today. So that when you are holding your phone, you know how to manage your data. Even those who are supposed to gather the data, collect the data, they know what they are supposed to be doing. Because if you are put to gather data, Mr. Speaker, you are supposed to ensure that you uphold to truthfulness. You are supposed to ensure that you uphold to confidentiality. You are supposed to ensure that you kind of protect the identity of the data you are collecting. So people don't know this. So if we take steps to ensure that we sensitize the public on days like this, for people to understand the need to protect data, I think that will be helpful, Mr. Speaker. Just to wrap up, Mr. Speaker, the laws that we have in this country has adequately addressed that of data protection. We have enough laws. Some of them have been mentioned by my senior colleague over there. He has enumerated a number of laws. But how to enforce this is the problem. So I want to strongly recommend that those who are responsible in enforcing that, we deal with people who are found to be to breach these regulations. We ensure that they are properly handled, and I'm sure it will serve as a deterrent to those who probably have the intention of going to that. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, minority.
Speaker, I will yield to Honorable Dr. Kabiru.
Yes, Dr. Kabiru, you have the floor. 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will want to commend the chairman of my committee for that statement. And also, let me add that, Mr. Speaker, we participated in the Data Protection Conference, and the presentation and discussion brought to the fore and the need for us to look at the Data Protection Act, and that Honorable Patrick Boama has alluded to. It was one of the cardinal outcomes of that particular conference, the need for us to review, re-examine the current legislative framework guiding the protection of data. Mr. Speaker, but since 2012, and following the enactment of the Data Protection Act, Parliament has been consistent in every single legislation we pass in this particular this particular house. We reflect adequately the need for data protection. And I would want to commend the House of Parliament for that consistency, that we made the law, and in fidelity to that law and in being consistent with the dictates of that law, we provide for every single subsequent act or bill, act we are, law we are making in this House, the need for adequate safeguard. Mr. Speaker, the Data Protection Act provides for protection by any person or any institution that is responsible for the collection and processing of data to provide some safeguards. And that is why within the Act, there are requirements for data controllers to be registered with the Data Protection Commission. Mr. Speaker, this again, I want to note that Parliament is one of the few institutions that have adequately regularized and made same the registration of our data system by making sure that our data, as a data controller, we register with the Data Protection Commission. Mr. Speaker, the issues about data protection are so serious. They are serious because every now and then you go to social media, you see the display without any sense of hiding the identity of people or valuable and vital information of persons. People splash this information of individuals, including politicians, in the public space. Mr. Speaker, I think this is not what the law actually is envisioning. The law actually wanted to protect us against free flow of personal information in a manner that is not prescribed by law. And to see people still in the habit of exploiting and mining personal data of persons and putting same in the media or putting same in public spaces without, the requirement of the law, Mr. Speaker, I think it is something that seriously we need to do. But the problem is that institutions, almost every single institution in Ghana is actually processing or collecting data of one way or the other. A data of one sort or another is going to be processed or collected, even if they are data of your employees, Mr. Speaker, they still constitute part of the data of the person. And I think that if we do not do something about this, a time will come that people will not feel safe about providing their data to institution or data persons responsible for the collection of this data. Mr. Speaker, the last thing I want to draw your attention to on this particular subject is the need for us, which has actually been overflow, that contingent to this is also the right of the person, how am I going to put it? Mr. Speaker, the right of the person to know that my information is actually safe. There is responsibility on the data protection. Mr. Speaker, on these people, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honourable members, we have come to an end of that vital statement on data protection. Indulge me to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Arnold Kavapro. He is the Acting Executive Director of Data Protection Agency. We have Abigail Yebua, Head of Administration, Daniel Amano, HR Manager, Kweku Ajay Labi, Head of Accounts, and staff of Data Protection Agency. On your behalf, I welcome them to Parliament of Ghana and urge them to have a fruitful visit to Parliament. We then move to the next statement standing in the name of Honorable Felicia Ajay, Member of Parliament for Kintampo South. You have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to make a statement on a vital issue at the heart of our democracy. Around the world, many successful democracies use proportional representation as a fairer way to convert votes into seats, and various stakeholders have been examining gender equity and seeking ways to build a better, more inclusive system in which every citizen's voice valued. Under this system, if a political party wins 30% of national votes, it receives about 30% of the seats in Parliament. This ensures that every vote counts and that even smaller parties and minority groups are represented. Countries such as South Africa, Namibia, Rwanda, and Senegal have adopted proportional strength has adopted proportional representation to strengthen democracy and inclusion. Mr. Speaker, proportional representation fosters gender inclusion. In Rwanda, for instance, the proportional system has allowed women to hold over 60% of parliamentary seats, making it one of the most gender-balanced legislatures in the world. Mr. Speaker, Ghana currently using the first-past-the-post system, where the candidates with the most votes in the constituencies win. Why simple? It often leaves many votes uncounted and reduces opportunities for women and minority groups. As a result, our parliament does not fully reflect the diversity of our population. Mr. Speaker, the Affirmative Action Gender Equity Act 2024 at 1121 was a bold step towards encouraging women participation. However, laws alone cannot achieve equity if the electoral system does not support inclusion. One proven approach is the use of gender balance or the zebra list, which required parties to alternate between the male and female candidates when seats are allocated. This guarantees fairness by design, not by chance. Mr. Speaker, Ghana could adopt a hybrid model, such as those in Germany and New Zealand, where some members are elected from constituencies and others from parties less based on the population of the national votes. This preserves a local representation.
Honourable members, by the agreement of the House, we are moving to statements. The first statement is by the Young Parliamentarians Forum. You have the floor. Honourable members, if they are not here, I would direct that the statement be published in the Hansard. Yes?
Speaker, I believe that the next in line is the minority chief whip. So we'll take it in that order.
Well, I will do it in the order that it appears in the order paper. So I will direct that the statement numbered A be published in the Hansard. As we take B, it stands in the name of Honorable Frank Anon Dompre, Member of Parliament for Nsauma Dojiri. You have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I rise to speak on a call for legislation on ECOSED in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I rise today with a profound sense of urgency and responsibility to speak on a matter that transcends partisan politics, economic growth, and short-term development agenda. I speak to the need for legislative action against ECOSED, the mass destruction of ecosystems, and for Ghana to align itself with the growing global movement to make environmental devastation a punishable crime, both domestically and internationally. Mr. Speaker, ECOSED is defined by an independent expert panel convened by Stop ECOSED International, and I quote, "Unlawful or wanton acts of committed with knowledge that there is a substantial likelihood of severe and either widespread or long-term damage to the environment," and unquote. This is not abstract rhetoric. It is a legal concept with measurable criteria. Damage that is severe, widespread, or long term. It goes far beyond regulatory fines or administrative sanctions. It is about criminal accountability for decisions and actions that destroy the very foundation of life and livelihood. Speaker, the current legal framework in international law, notably the Rome Statute of International Criminal Court, lists genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and aggression. Ecocide is not yet recognized as a standalone international crime during peacetime, even though environmental destruction today causes consequences on par with the gravest human rights abuses. Speaker, this absence in international law creates a legal vacuum. Corporations, state actors, and individuals can commit ecological destruction, deforestation, industrial pollution, oil spills, and climate amplifying activities with limited criminal liability. This is not just a theoretical concern. The Nigerian Niger Delta, for example, has suffered over 7,000 oil spills from 1970 to 2000, devastating water, soil, and human health, and with full environmental restoration estimated to take decades. Such destruction is paradigmatic of ecocide. Globally, however, momentum is building to fill this void. At least 11 countries have already incorporated ecocide into their domestic law, including Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Russia, Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, Ecuador, Chile, France, and Belgium. Speaker, in 2023, Belgium became the first European Union country to criminalize ecocide as part of its penal code revisions, demonstrating a political will to hold those who cause severe ecological harm to account. Across the world, Brazil, Mexico, the Netherlands, Italy, Argentina, France, Polynesia, India, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Peru, who are advancing legislative proposals aimed at similar goals. This is not merely environmental law. It is justice law, recognizing ecocide as a crime, embeds a moral framework into legal systems. As noted by legal scholars and advocates, criminalization signals a societal consensus, and destroying ecosystems is morally and legally unacceptable, similar to how criminal law treats thefts or harm to persons. In Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo publicly endorsed ecocide as an international crime at the 2024 UN Biodiversity Conference, joining the calls from the Pacific states like Fiji, Vanuatu, and Samoa to strengthen the environmental protection through criminal law. Speaker, why should Ghana act now? Ecological boundary crossing. As a country affected by deforestation, illegal mining, galamsey, and water pollution, Ghana's ecosystems are under severe stress. Recent reports indicate that up to 60% of our water bodies have suffered pollution due to illegal mining, a form of uncontrolled environmental degradation that threatens health, agriculture, and future prosperity. The Speaker, moral responsibility. Environmental stability is foundational to food security, human health, and sustained economic development. The consequences of ecological damage are anti-generational. They affect our children, their livelihoods, and their right to healthy environment. Criminalizing ecocide affirms our collective duty of care towards our nature and future generations. By legislating ecocide as a crime, Ghana can position itself as a leader in environmental justice in Africa, much like the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Belgium on their respective continent, showing that environmental protection is inseparable from human rights, climate justice, and sustainable development. So in conclusion, we must pass a domestic ecocide law Introduce a standalone legal provision defining and criminalizing ecocide with clear thresholds for severity, duration, and impact, model on the Stop Ecocide International definition. Align with international law. Advocates at the Assembly of States, parties of the International Criminal Court to include ecocide as the 5th international crime, thereby enabling prosecution of the most severe environmental harms globally. Ghana has an opportunity to be a regional and continental leader, championing ecocide law to protect not only Ghana, but other African Environmental Ministerial Conference on Environment and other African Union, strengthen enforcement mechanisms, empower Ghana's environmental protection agencies and judiciary with investigative authority, evidence standards, and prosecutorial capacity to ensure accountability. Penal sanctions and remedies. Ensure penalties are proportionate and deterrent, including custodial sentences as well as financial penalties for individuals and corporations and mandatory environmental restoration orders. Speaker, protecting our ecosystems is not an optional policy. It is a fundamental commitment to future generations, to human dignity, and to the harmony between economic development and environmental stewardship. Let us give meaning to that commitment by making ecocide a crime and Ghanaian law by supporting its recognition under international law. I recommend the government in proposing the creation of a national crime of ecocide as part of the proposal made by the Constitutional Review Committee, from electoral democracy to developmental democracy, and urge a swift progression in the creation of national ecocide legislation to protect our economy now and into the future. Speaker, I thank you and I'm grateful.
Thank you. Honourable members, any guide as to the number of comments that we will take on each statement? We have about 12 statements for today.
I am trying to reach agreement with my brother. That's his statement. So given the number of statements we have, we want to agree that we take 1-1 plus leadership. So that makes it 4. That makes it 4. It's such a major statement, I agree. But if we take 4 contributors each, then we have a lot of statements to cover. Speaker.
Yeah, the statements are about 12.
Yes. Okay.
Very well. If that is the agreement of the House, I will then open the floor.
Sorry, I'm sorry. It is not an agreement of the House. It is a recommendation from him.
Very well. What do you say to it?
I don't, because I'm involved, I don't want to hazard any guess. But clearly, if you see colleagues who are 2-2 should be okay. I think 2 should be okay. That's my humble view.
Yes, that's what he's saying. But that 2-2 should include leadership. So 4 comments on 1 statement. Yes, in order of seniority, I'll give the floor to Honorable Charles Agbebe.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for recognizing my seniority. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to commend the maker of the statement. Ever since I joined Parliament, he's been very consistent in making statements on the environment. In fact, he's been consistent, he's been persistent and passionate about statements on environment. Ecocide is definitely a crime. By its own definition, mass destruction of the ecosystem. Unfortunately, only 11 countries have passed a domestic law on ecocide. And in Africa, only 1. That's Democratic Republic of Congo. It even tells you that the world, or the countries in the world, are not taking issues of environment seriously. Criminalizing ecocide is very, very critical because we have laws already that punishes people who infringe on the ecosystem or the environment. But I think making a law on ecocide will further strengthen and deter people from destroying the ecosystem or the environment. Mr. Speaker, ecocide, as researched and well written by the maker of the statement, helps us to criminalize destruction of the environment. And in doing so, we'll position Ghana with Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa as the countries leading this charge. And it's very important for me because we have challenges in Ghana: sand winning, plastic waste, galamsey, pollution of the water bodies. It's important for us to show commitment and seriousness by passing this law criminalizing ecocide. It's also our collection. It's important for us to work towards protecting nature and the future generations of this country, Mr. Speaker. And further, I also support the call to make ecocide the fifth international crime internationally, because that way, then we can be making sure that countries will comply with very important legislations concerning ecocide. With these few words, I want to thank the maker of the statement and encourage him to continue the good work he's doing on the environment.
Honourable members, let's have in mind that the comment should not exceed 5 minutes. Yes, Honourable Dr. Kabiru.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me also join in commending the minority chief whip for his consistency on this subject matter. Mr. Speaker, I think that his attitude towards the environment is something that we must all emulate as members of parliament, especially so when environmental issues are at the heart of even contemporary development issues, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the make of the statement brings our attention to a very major ecocide. Mr. Speaker, we know as a fact that deliberate and wanton and mass destruction of human lives constitute, a crime international. And if life is not to be distinguished, I think plant and animal lives are equally important. That to the extent that persons would deliberately or negligently destroy the lives of animals and the lives of plants, to that extent, Mr. Speaker, I think that it is something that we need to look at as a country. That despite the fact that we have so many environmental laws, Mr. Speaker, the Ramsar Convention, which Ghana has actually ratified, and we are actually having 6 Ramsar sites. Mr. Speaker, currently, those sites are endangered, despite the strict liability of these particular, offenses associated with the destruction of this particular natural and biological lives. So, Mr. Speaker, the time for us to give much more attention to issues of ecocide is now, and I think that the make of the statement is timely. Mr. Speaker, we are making this statement at a time that climate change is at the foreburner of global issues. Mr. Speaker, at the heart of ecocide, or at the heart of the destruction we cause to plants and animals, is the issue of global warming, is the issue of climate change. And Mr. Speaker, no country, no state is isolated from the real effect of climate change. And I think that we need to embrace this. Mr. Speaker, the moral imperativeness, the necessity of this particular legislation has been highlighted by the maker of the statement. And I want to add to the fact that flooding is much more common in our jurisdiction because of issues of destruction to plant and animal lives. We also have issues of emergence of new diseases. We also have issues about migratory birds. Recently, I raised an issue about the fact that migratory birds are distracting farm fields in the north. Mr. Speaker, all these are attendant effects of climate change and then destruction to plants and animal life. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to join the maker of the statement to call on the state, Ghana, and this parliament to, put at the heart of our deliberation and at the heart of our legislation issues about environment and the need to protect the environment, especially criminalizing issues of destruction or negligent or deliberate destruction of plants and animal life. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, minority leadership. It has come to leadership. 1-1.
Very well, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, let me, most importantly, eulogize the maker of this statement against the backdrop that he has been more than persistent in dealing with issues of the environment. In fact, this morning I've had personally to engage him to further, as it were, recommend to him to do a PhD in environmental law, because he's been very well versed on environmental matters. And that is why it is critical for him to go beyond what he has today. Mr. Speaker, he brings to the fore ecocide. And that tells you that, in fact, it talks about the killing of the natural environment. That is the literal definition or meaning. Mr. Speaker, the natural environment is on the large scale of destruction. The massive destruction of our environment needs each and everyone's attention. Mr. Speaker, and the kind of destruction emanates from human activities, one of which is galamsey, illegal mining. Mr. Speaker, I read a piece recently about how the Bui Dam is at the verge of destruction because of illegal mining. And Mr. Speaker, I've been more worried at the fact that people who hitherto were prosecutors and persecutors of galamsey have all gone quiet, when the situation has actually even gone beyond the prevalence level as it then was. Mr. Speaker, another which is critical, and in fact it's pari passu, it's side by side, it's deforestation. Because anybody who has to go into illegal mining will end up felling trees. And when the trees are all removed, the system, the ecosystem, the ecology, the green belt becomes very devastated. In environments that we would have said to ourselves that, oh, Accra is busy, it's hot, and I want to drive out of Accra and go somewhere and have some quiet realization. Mr. Speaker, you're unable to do so. Why? Because all the trees are being pulled down just because we want to make money, to the neglect of very essential commodities that no human being can ever manufacture, which is air. Mr. Speaker, today, when we are talking about pollution, our lifestyles, almost everybody is drinking bottled water or plastic water. Mr. Speaker, people go and all they afford is sachet water, plastic or bottled water. Mr. Speaker, when they are done drinking, the indiscriminate disposal of this is creating wanton filth and squalor. And Mr. Speaker, if care is not taken, you can check. In my constituency, for instance, anytime it rains, there is a problem. Why? Because the drains are choked, all manner of desilting and whatever has not supported this, has not brought any solution to these problems. People are building in waterways and nobody is able to do anything. The powers that be, respectively, have even gone to sleep because either they are beneficiaries or they are associates. Mr. Speaker, this statement is really critical because in these modern times, in recent times one was in the US, they could not even tell the inches of snow that was going to come up. When it started snowing, people just could not tell that, oh, we were going to have 22 inches of snow. And all as a result of the way we handle ourselves, our human activities, how we are damaging the ecosystem. And in Ghana, The major one, Mr. Speaker, which I'm very sure that you bear with me on that and you agree with me, is Galamsey. Mr. Speaker, let the powers that be take serious look at it. Like my honorable chief whip, the hardworking chief whip said, there is the critical need for us to look at making laws to ensure that our environment and enforcing the laws. Because, Mr. Speaker, most of the laws are there. We have either refused to execute those or, in fact, ensure that those laws work, or people are beneficiaries of these laws and therefore they have gone to sleep. And we are suffering. We should think about the generation.
Yes, so they are keeping the 5 minutes automatically.
Mr. Speaker, I'm okay. I was hoping that leadership will be given more time, but if the time is taken, it's fine. I want to take this opportunity to thank you once again.
Speaker, may I yield to Dr. Winston Manaba?
Yes, Doc, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to comment on this very important statement ably made by the Chief Whip of the minority side. I think I will join everybody to at least commend him for his consistency when it comes to environment. Yes, ecocide is detrimental to us. We've heard of the definition, and we are all alarmed. It is to protect current generation and future generations. If you want to listen to what other commentators, other members commented about it, we're all speaking about how we are depleting the forest, which is far away. We are talking about contaminating of our water bodies, which is dangerous to our health. And as a health worker, I have looked around our big cities, and I've seen that besides complaining about the forest being depleted and waters being contaminated, within our own environment that we have created to live ourselves in our big cities, we are actually practicing ecocide. We have laws in our district assemblies to prevent that from taking place. But we are failing to implement laws that will prevent us from being extinct, from being polluted, and developing diseases that would harm us and lead us to extinction. I want to talk about the work of the assemblies and in the EPA and ensuring that our cities are not turned into what we call methane production industries. If you watch Ghana, all our big cities, we are gradually practicing ecocide. Rubber bags being thrown everywhere. You go to the field site where they dump rubbish, and it is stacked with rubbish. Even in farms, you go and rubbish are everywhere. Polythene is everywhere, preventing the ground to re-exchange gases. We are emitting more methane in our big cities simply because we are not implementing environmental laws. We are not executing what we are supposed to do to prevent this from happening. So I would say that there are low-hanging fruits, not only the forest being depleted, not only the waters being contaminated, but the cities themselves, where we have wetlands. We have encroached on all the wetlands. The few forest reserves we have inside the cities to provide oxygen and pure air for us to breathe. We are cutting the trees down and building mansions, encroaching on them. The wetlands where we are supposed to have, different species to live harmoniously with us. We are destroying all the wetlands, and now what we see in our big cities in Ghana now is the production of methane, which is very detrimental to our health, simply because no one is punishing the other. The laws are not working. So even if we sign up to this law, just like Singapore is doing, you can't chew a gum, you can't hold a rubber bag. Just like Rwanda is doing, you can't have a polythene bag in Rwanda, simply because they know the devastating effect of throwing garbage everywhere. If we want to implement it in Ghana, it will be a problem. This is where I think the low-hanging fruits must be handled first. Then we can polish up this international fever that is going around now in 11 countries, that ecocide should be a crime to humanity, and that it should be punishable by law, by international laws. If this is actually realized, and the whole world accept that ecocide is punishable by law, I think even wars in the world we change the methods of fighting our wars. We see today, oil refineries are being blown out, which is causing chemicals all around the world. We've seen how water plants in countries like Iran, like in Israel, are being blown up, which is destroying ecosystems. I think I really support the call by the leader that we should make ecocide a crime against humanity, so that wars fought around the world, no one will attempt to blast an oil refinery, because today, Iran and Israel, they are suffering the consequences. I'm not only talking for Ghana. We have to be patriotic and we have to be human beings, because that alone is causing fumes across, and people will start developing diseases as a result of those chemical reactions that are taking place. To this end, I commend the maker of the statement and call for Ghana to also consider ecocide as a law for us to establish to prevent the destruction of the small.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.